What's up, Steelers Nation? Welcome back to the channel. And before we jump into today's massive Steelers update, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our breaking news and exclusive insider stories. The team continues to push itself every single week, looking to improve, evolve, and bring championship football back to Pittsburgh. And this week, we've got two huge stories that have Steelers fans buzzing. One about a key defensive player's surprise return, and another involving some explosive wide receiver trade rumors that could shake up the AFC entirely. So, let's break it all down. Steelers Nation, let's start with the great news. The defense just got a major boost ahead of their primetime Week 7 matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. Hours before kickoff, Steelers Senior Director of Communications, Burt Lawton, announced that safety Deshaun Elliott made his way to Cincinnati and is expected to suit up tonight. That's a big deal. Elliott didn't travel with the team initially due to personal reasons, and his name popped up on the final injury report as questionable. But now he's been cleared and will play without any game designation. For a defense that's been finding its rhythm again, this is massive. Let's not forget, Elliott has been a revelation for this team since signing with the Steelers last season on a 2-year, $6 million deal. The 28-year-old quickly proved his worth. He finished second on the team in tackles, 108, added 3 fumble recoveries, and even snagged an interception. He plays with that hard-hitting, physical style that just feels like classic Steelers football. And because of that consistency, the front office rewarded him this past offseason with a 2-year, $12.5 million extension that keeps him locked in through 2027. But unfortunately, the 2025 season didn't start as planned. In Week 1 against the Jets, Elliott went down with a knee injury and missed 2 crucial games. That absence was felt immediately. The communication in the secondary wasn't the same, and the defense just didn't look as sharp. Then, when he returned in Week 4 against the Vikings in Dublin, Ireland, it was like flipping a switch. Elliott was everywhere. 6 tackles, a forced fumble, and an interception in that international showcase. He followed that up with a dominant performance in Week 6 against Cleveland, leading the team with 12 tackles as Pittsburgh pulled off a hard-fought win over their AFC North rivals. Since Elliott's return, the defense has completely turned things around. They're tackling cleaner, forcing turnovers again, and controlling the pace of games. And now, heading into a divisional showdown with Joe Flacco and the Bengals, having Elliott back on the field couldn't have come at a better time. So, what will the safety group look like tonight? Expect Juan Thornhill to continue starting alongside Elliott. That duo has been quietly excellent in recent weeks, but with Miles Kilbrew out due to a knee injury, the Steelers will rely on extra depth tonight. That means Jabril Peppers and Chuck Clark could both be active and play meaningful snaps, not just on defense, but also on special teams, where Kilbrew's leadership and tackling ability will be sorely missed. Clark was a healthy and active last week against Cleveland, but the expectation now is that both he and Peppers will be in uniform, ready to contribute wherever needed. This is exactly the kind of game where depth and versatility matter, especially when facing an offense led by Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And if we're being honest, Elliott's presence changes everything. His ability to diagnose plays, come downhill against the run, and communicate coverages makes the entire secondary more confident. If the Steelers' defense can force Joe Flacco into early mistakes, this could be another statement win for Mike Tomlin's crew. Now, let's shift gears because while the defense is getting stronger, the offense might be about to make headlines. The NFL trade deadline is coming fast, November 4th, and the Steelers are once again right in the middle of wide receiver trade rumors. Fans know the team could use another weapon for quarterback Aaron Rodgers, especially after the departure of George Pickens earlier this year. DK Metcalf has been everything Pittsburgh hoped for, dominant, reliable, and a leader in the locker room. But one look at this offense and you can see they're still one piece away from being truly elite. And according to ESPN's Dan Orlovsky, the Steelers might be preparing to go all in. During a recent appearance on ESPN's First Take, Orlovsky lit up Steelers Nation with his comments. How all in do you want to be? If the Steelers win tonight, this division is blouses. It's a wrap. If you're the Steelers and you win tonight, you could have a 3.5-game lead in the AFC North. So do you make a call to the New York Jets to see if Garrett Wilson is available? Do you call the Miami Dolphins about Jalen Waddle or the New Orleans Saints about Chris Olave? This team is different than I thought they were going to be. That's some bold talk, but it also shows how much the perception of this team has changed. Even national analysts now see the Steelers as legitimate contenders, and that's largely thanks to Rodgers' leadership and the defense's resurgence. Orlovsky admitted that before the season, he didn't think Pittsburgh had what it takes to compete with Kansas City, Baltimore, or Buffalo. But after watching the way they've played through 6 weeks, he believes it's time for Omar Khan to go all in. Let's take a closer look at the 3 names Orlovsky mentioned. Garrett Wilson, Jets. This one's a long shot. Wilson just signed a new deal that runs through 2030, and his cap hit climbs over $23 million starting in 2027. The Jets love him, but tensions have been brewing under new head coach Aaron Glenn, with multiple reports of sideline arguments. Could Omar Khan call and make an offer? Sure, but the price would be astronomical. We're talking multiple first-round picks and possibly more. And with Rodgers already having a complicated history with Wilson, that reunion might not even be ideal. Jalen Waddle, Dolphins. Now this one is intriguing. Miami's offense is built around speed, but they might be looking to reshape their roster after a slow start. Waddle's contract situation could open the door for a trade, and his chemistry with Rodgers would be instant. Imagine a trio of DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin III, and Jalen Waddle. That's nightmare fuel for opposing defenses. And Chris Olave, Saints. And then there's Olave, the most realistic target of the bunch. New Orleans has been struggling, and with Olave needing an extension soon, his trade value has dipped slightly. Pittsburgh could strike while the price is still reasonable. Olave's route running and deep ball ability would fit perfectly in Arthur Smith's offense, and pairing him with Metcalf would give Rodgers exactly what he's been asking for: balance, speed, and separation. Khan has shown he's not afraid to make big moves. Trading for DK Metcalf proved that this front office is done playing conservative football. The mindset now is simple: win now while Rodgers is still playing at a high level. If Pittsburgh can pull off another blockbuster, even one for a player slightly below Wilson or Waddle's level, it could be the final piece that pushes this team over the top in the AFC. According to NFL Network's Jamie Erdahl, Aaron Rodgers recently told a fascinating story. Over the years, teammates often suggested, "Hey Aaron, we should get a group together for a private off-season workout, maybe in California." Sounds great, right? But here's the thing. In 21 seasons, that idea never actually happened. Until now. This past offseason, Pat Freiermuth, the 26-year-old tight end entering his 5th season in Pittsburgh, decided to step up and make it real. He organized a private offensive workout trip to Malibu, California between the end of mandatory minicamp and the start of training camp. Rodgers himself confirmed it, sharing photos of the group on Instagram, showing that this wasn't just talk. It was action. The Steelers' offensive crew that made the trip included Aaron Rodgers, of course, Pat Freiermuth, the organizer, DK Metcalf, Rodgers' new go-to target, Calvin Austin III, Ben Skowronek, Roman Wilson, the rookie wideout, and Scotty Miller, one of the depth receivers fighting for a role. They trained together at Proactive Sports Performance, a facility Rodgers has used for years during the offseason. And soon after, video clips surfaced across social media showing Rodgers and his new teammates throwing routes, laughing, and building real chemistry long before training camp started. It might not sound like much, but inside the NFL, this kind of trip means everything. If you've followed Rodgers' career, you know he's always valued rhythm and timing with his receivers. But he's also been criticized, sometimes fairly, for not spending enough off-season time bonding with his teammates. That's what made this Malibu trip so significant. It wasn't the coaching staff that set it up. It wasn't a PR stunt. It was Freiermuth taking leadership into his own hands and saying, "Let's get together. Let's train. Let's build something special." Rodgers told Jamie Erdahl that this was the first time in his entire career that one of his teammates actually followed through on organizing that kind of off-season session. Think about that. After 21 years, dozens of teammates, and multiple MVP awards, it was a Pittsburgh Steeler who finally did it. That speaks volumes about the culture shift we're seeing inside this locker room. The Steelers are not just talking about chasing a Super Bowl. They're acting like a team that's preparing for one. Now let's talk about Pat Freiermuth himself. His 2025 season hasn't gone the way many of us hoped in terms of production. Through 5 games, he's got just 8 catches for 76 yards, and he's only been on the field for 42 total snaps between weeks 4 and 6. But here's the thing. Not once has he complained. Not once has he let frustration spill into the media. Instead, he's focused on leadership. Freiermuth has been through multiple quarterbacks during his time in Pittsburgh, from Ben Roethlisberger to Kenny Pickett to now Aaron Rodgers. That's a roller coaster for any player, but especially for a tight end trying to establish consistency. Yet, even with all that change, Freiermuth has stayed steady. He's earned Rodgers' respect, not just as a player, but as a teammate who brings people together. And make no mistake, that's something Rodgers values deeply. If you know his personality, he connects best with players who take ownership and match his competitive mindset. Freiermuth's initiative to create that offseason workout may very well become a turning point in how Rodgers approaches leadership in this new chapter of his career. It's not easy to build chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. Ask the long list of receivers who struggled to gain his trust over the years. But the ones who did, they became stars. Guys like Devonta Adams and Jordy Nelson didn't just show up and run routes. They worked with Rodgers, off the clock, during those long summer days when nobody was watching. Now, Freiermuth is doing exactly that. Even though his numbers are down, Rodgers continues to praise him for his intelligence, reliability, and calm presence in the huddle. And you can see it during games. The way Rodgers looks his way on 3rd down, the subtle hand signals before the snap, the trust in red zone moments. Rodgers knows Freiermuth has his back. And if history tells us anything, once Rodgers builds that kind of connection with a tight end, the production eventually follows. Steelers Nation, what a night we've got ahead. Deshaun Elliott is back and ready to hit the field against the Bengals, a huge lift for the defense, and the front office is being urged to make another splash before the trade deadline. So let me ask you, which storyline excites you more? Are you fired up to see Elliott back in action anchoring this defense, or are you hoping Omar Khan pulls the trigger on another big-time wide receiver trade? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. And if you enjoyed this update, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a Steelers breaking story. This is Pittsburgh football, baby. Physical, fearless, and built on belief. We're chasing greatness every week. Here we go, Steelers Nation.